got questions? Well, we have the man to answer those questions. Jeffrey Levine from Buckingham. Jeffrey, welcome back to another episode of Ask the Hammer.
Hey, Bob, good to see you.
So lots of people have been asking me about something called QLACs, and they particularly want to know what the pros and cons of qualified longevity annuity contracts are.
Okay, so first, let's start with what is a qualified longevity annuity contract. And as the name implies, it is an annuity and one that typically doesn't start until a much more advanced age. The rules for this came out initially back in 2014, I believe. The IRS created regulations to solve a problem. And that problem was that the rules for longevity annuities didn't mesh well with the rules for IRAs and 401ks, et cetera. And so what they did was they said, you can invest a specified amount. That amount now is like $200,000. You can take up to $200,000 and put it into an annuity that won't start until as late as age 85, but you don't have to count the amount invested as part of your RMD calculation. So you basically get to exclude that and have a lower RMD. Now, let's talk about benefits and drawbacks. Perhaps the biggest benefit is you can't outlive your QLAC. You can't outlive your QLAC. That is as simple as it sounds, right? Your QLAC, once you start taking money out of it, will pay you for the rest of your life. And you can also set it up to pay for your life as well as that of a spouse. The other thing that's nice about a QLAC is those future income payments are guaranteed. The rules right now state that these have to be fixed annuities. So save for some perhaps future COLA adjustments, the amount that you're going to get is effectively known. So the investment risk you might have with other sorts of assets is diminished. And finally, there's a big benefit in terms of something known as mortality credits. Now, mortality credits are a bit of a complicated thing to describe, but simply put, Bob, if you have 10 people who are alive, you know that you don't know when those 10 people are going to die, right? Some might die sooner, some might die later, et cetera. But when you start to take a much bigger pool of people, like an insurance company can do, you start to be able to make much more accurate predictions as to how many people will die at what time. You don't know who, but you know pretty well when people, which people we don't know, but some people will die today, some people will die tomorrow, et cetera. And so what you're able to do is pool that money together and say, we don't know which of you will live longest, but whoever does, we're going to keep paying you because those who die sooner will effectively subsidize those who live longer. And so that actually allows more income to be distributed to those who live later on average than if they would have saved on their own. So that's effectively a very rudimentary discussion of what a mortality credit is. There are, of course, downsides to QLACs, and perhaps the biggest one is the old Latin phrase caveat emptor, which means buyer beware. And not that they are bad, they're a tool, they're not good or bad, but there are some challenges associated with them. But if you don't like it after you buy it, well, too bad, you are stuck with it because there's no way to get out of a QLAC other than ultimately taking it as income as planned later on in life. So that is one major challenge of QLACs. The other one is that it's not going to have the sort of growth if you're looking at like long-term equity returns. Typically, you're not going to have that sort of return. It shouldn't be looked at really as an equity replacement. It's more functional like a bond in someone's portfolio. Think about them as bond-like returns.
Yeah. So when I think about QLACs or even deferred income annuities, the thought is that you're buying these things to manage the risk of longevity of outliving your assets. Is that the primary purpose?
That's exactly right. There's that is purpose 1, 2, and 3 for a qualified longevity annuity contract is, sometimes I hear people say, but it'll help me reduce my RMD. That's such an ancillary benefit. But you're doing that, sure, but you're doing that by putting money into this contract that you really can't get yourself out of. So if you're happy with the contract, that's great. But if you're just trying to lower your RMD, well, there's other ways of doing that. Either take the money out of your account now, make some Roth conversions, or just live with the RMD and enjoy the extra cash.
So when I think about readers asking us questions, there are only pros, no cons.
I would have to say that. And hopefully we're qualified to give an answer. We'll see. So send us a shout or give us an email. You can reach us at askthehammer@buckinghamgroup.com. Again, that's askthehammer@buckinghamgroup.com. And Bob and I look forward to seeing your questions in our inbox real soon.